why you guys in, I don't know, a lot of people, while they're in high school and college and after college and as a church, for church activities and they go into missions. And last, more than 10 years, I got involved in church missions and then a little bit, it is called the family missions. So my mission is a little bit different from other church missions and other organization missions. And my mission, my church mission is really family oriented. So I never taken the minors and high schooler and junior high schooler and any others. And I take the team as a family. So at least one of the parents join us, join the mission with their children. Sometimes when their children is grown up and they don't have any children, and sometimes they want to learn about the family mission, I take them to the mission field, church mission. So it's been about 10 years, more than 10 years. I went to the Tijuana in Mexico. It's like from my place, and about take 2 hours without traffic, and then driving down to the borders for 1.5 hours, and then get there. It's like 30 minutes from the border, and we usually stop by Costco in Mexico, and then we bought some lunches and maybe hot dogs and other stuff, and then we bought in Costco and then go to the church. So we don't go to church here and there, so we pick only one churches, and then we work together the last 10 years. And then recently some things happened, and then the pastor family escape from Mexico, and they stay in state, and then I don't know how long they want to stay. Maybe some things calm down there, and then maybe they can go back and do ministry. And another place I go to the Guadalajara by plane, and actually it's a kind of a 10 days trip during the winter and during the summer. And we went to the Guadalajara by plane, and then take another 4 or 5 hours by car to the Michoacan. And the village is like in the middle of mountains, so we drove there, so like 4 to 5 hours, and then we did children's ministry 3 days, and then nowadays it's been almost 10 years, more than 10 years we get involved in children's ministry. And then in the beginning, it's really you guys never seen the kind of situation. If you go and no toilet, and then you gotta sit down, and then the pastor who knows the kind of American lifestyle, and then they put the toilet, but still, it's hard to use it, and no water. It's like almost 6-7 years no water, and then they bought drinking water. They bought drinking water, and then for other usage, and then they used the raindrops, right? Rainwater, and then there's reservoirs here and there, and then they got water while they rained, and then reserved it, and they used them, right? And usually we are there around 3 days, coming down around Thursday morning. When we got there, always we flew there on Sunday night, and Monday arrived early morning and drive up and studied kind of a VBS there, and then while we're staying, and we have to cook by ourselves, and then there is no water, and then so we cannot take a shower, so we couldn't do barely crucialties, and then the time. So while rains comes and we kind of not shower, we wash the hairs and face. Other than that, we use a kind of towards water tissue and wipe our face. It's a really good memories, and then try to help the church. And then nowadays they have kind of water lines. Water line is coming from the city, and then 3 times a day, and the water is on. They can have a reservoir. They have a reservoir, but we cannot say like a ripple. And here there, but nowadays they have a big one, and they save the water there, and then they have toilet like America, and then totally different. They change a lot. And there is a mission that I did last 10 years. I went to Thailand a couple of times, 3 or 4 times, and then we help out the local churches, and then I want to try to make a bridge between church and the community, and then we invite the school children at the junior high school and elementary, and then invite the kids to the church, and then we teach the English, and we teach the gospel, and we teach the songs, and then we teach the taekwondo. So my daughters is doing the taekwondo, and then they teach the basic stuff, and try to make a connection with the local churches, and then it was kind of successful. And after we left, and then the pastor organized some meetings, keep running the music class and English class and other class, and kids connected to the church for a while. And that was Thailand about 3 years, 4 years, and every summer trip. And I went to Ghana, just with my family. And there's a missionary I connected when they stopped by America, and then we connected, and they invited us, and we went there, and then we tried to teach the gospel. And it was kind of, it was a really rainy days, and we help out their big event, evangelism event. It's like a big church, just about 2,000 kids came, and they just present the gospel and provide the meals. That was the kind of big things, and my kids are part of them, and then help them. And we did the other day, we visited school, and my kids at the time is 5th grade, 7th grade, and 6th grade, and 7th grade, and they present the gospel, and before they go to the missions, and then we pray together, and then they have a different method, and then they wrote everything in English, and then they memorize, and they use the kind of posters, and then present the gospel. And that was our missions. And then after that, and I want to take our families, and then if we go to faraway countries, and then cost is too much, and then I decided to go down to Mexico, and that's why I have 2 teams in Mexico. One is a Tijuana team, and another one is a Guadalajara team. So Tijuana team is we went down every month, and who cannot have a longer vacation, but they had kind of understanding from the pastor, and then we don't go to church and recruit the teams, and usually they heard about us, and then somehow connected, and then they come the weekend church. So they joined our team, and then we went down Mexico, and then it's up to them. There is not any obligations, and just they have to pay the fee for the trip. So the fee included and eating, and the lunch, also the providing lunch for the churches and kids, and then we spend all that. And then if they wanna come back on Saturday, they can come back on Saturday by themselves. And we usually stay one night, 2 days, and then they can stay on Sunday too. So usually we do the children's ministry and come young adult ministry. And in the beginning, we spend a lot of time playing with the kids and kind of making lunches. But later on, times went by, and church members came, and then we just bought material for food, and they cooked, right? And then we spend more time with the street evangelism and go here and there and call the kids, invite to the church for service, and then a lot of kids are coming, and then we try to connect the youth to the church, and then we play the soccer with the kids, and then somehow we are old, but still we beat them, and they kind of mad at us, and then keep coming week, came to church whenever we're there, and we after everything is done, we play soccer and we won, and then kind of make a connection with the church, and then pastor kind of grab them, and then they have their own Bible study day. But so Tijuana is a really unique city, and then a lot of kids are kind of moving with the parents and other places, and then the populations, the kids' populations, keep changing every 2 years, and then that was kind of my missions, and then we committed a lot with my kids and my wife, and but it's a lot of benefit for us. And there was a short mission trip. One is that is the Tijuana trip. Another trip was I already told you, Michoacan and Guadalajara. So 3 days in Michoacan and 3 days in Guadalajara. So we did 2 periods, and it's a really tight schedule. And Saturday, so after mission trip, the whole week kind of ministry, missions, and then after Sunday service, we take the missionary family to vacation to around the area. So we stay. We had a vacation 3 days together. So Sunday night so usually we came back on Wednesday. So 3 nights together, and then Wednesday missionary come back to their own place, and then we come back to America. It was really good for us. It was really good experience, and I was studying, and I was in mission agency, and I was the one who provided the mission training and in the mission agency, and later on I studied the intercultural studies and based on the missiology, but more like missiology and cultural anthropology. I learned a lot about missions, what's going on, what's good and what's bad, right? And I don't want to make the same mistake while I'm doing the missions, even though it's a short mission. I don't stay there. I don't live in there, but still, I don't want to make a lot of mistakes. And I create my own philosophy for the short mission, and then try to practice, and then sometimes, and I teach the people who want to learn from vision, but they really understand how we're supposed to missions, but when they go back to local church, and then the environment is different, and it's hard to practice what they learn. And so it's really good for participants, and I try to always concern about the hosting churches and hosting missionaries. So I have a kind of trying letters in the beginning, and I don't know their cultures, and I don't know about them, who they are. And I had a chance to kind of teach the Sunday school teachers, and then that's my kind of barrier. And then I don't understand. I don't know their cultures, and basically I learned by the research. But Tijuana is kind of unique, and other places every culture is unique, even though in Mexico. And then Beijing, big one is the same. But and I made a lot of mistakes. I don't think about the education level. I don't think about the background of their Protestant church. They never been the Protestant church. They never had Sunday schools. People we promote the Sunday schools. That was our ministry, and so education. I try to teach them. I don't think about their education level, and then it's kind of my standard was hard and high. And high is so like who grow up, it's for the who grown up churches and know what is the Sunday schools. And they grown up in Sunday schools, and they are and they know and they serve, and but I don't consider everything, but try to implement some training, but it didn't work. I figured it out later on, then I just dropped them away everything, and then so I learned how to teach in cross-cultural setting, especially like the area, right? It's not that they are the higher educated, well educated, and they don't have any higher degree of education. I learned a lot, and because of my education background, and then I tried not to be harmful for the host church, local churches, and host missionaries, and so we had all financial burdens. Nothing imposed on the missionaries, nothing imposed to the local churches, right? And that was my intention. And then who joins the missions, and we kind of collect some money for mission tripping, and then we bought everything what we need. And another thing is that I don't wanna teach them something that they cannot afford, they cannot do. And for examples, I used a lot of material that they can easily they can easily buy, and with a cheap price. It's all possible. So I don't use a fancy material that will come here for the Sunday school in America. So I don't use them. So I spend a lot of time to design and make, but it's not boring. But I try to make it affordable. That one is but team helped me a lot. So I give them basic idea and basic things. That there's someone is really talented, and then they redesign and then put together. I was really blessed to work with them. And then sometimes we had kind of calculated how many people are coming to those VBS. We around to calculate about 300 kids, and then just when we need 3 characters every day. So I asked them how much they need to use. Okay, and just think about how much you're gonna use for 300. How much you're gonna use for craft, right? For 300 kids, and then there's a limit is always there, and I explained that my intention and how we can help the churches, and yeah, that was basic way. And then I always, while we trained mission, preparing mission trips, we there was a family missions, and then we learn about the families, and then biblical families. We learn about what is missions, and then we prepared for what we want to do for BBS, and then that is about 3 months to 4 months. Every Saturday, about 3 hours to 4 hours. So we're gonna learn the basic language Spanish to say something in greeting and stuff, and then and basic philosophy is that my mission is not event, once a month event, every summer event, and then we try to build up the relationship, and that's I post the relationship, building a relationship, so relational. So I go down to Mexico, Tijuana, and then we spent a year, and then the teachers and kids that came and give us a big hug. Meaning not just a formal kind of bowing and shaking hands. They came and then they give me a big hug, squeezing me, right? And it means that it's kind of already relationship built, and then they like us, and then they like us coming down. So that kind of relationship is built. And then when we go to Guadalajara, Michoacan, and then in the first 3 years, the pastor told us that he observed us why they are coming to them, right? We don't bring a lot of stuff that they need, clothes and other toys, and we don't bring that kind of stuff. We just go and try to help the church ministry, and that's why. And they know why we are coming down. We are different from other teams. We don't do the feast for the church members, and then we kind of do provide decent food, and then whatever they provide for us, and then we just eat and whatever, and that's why they like us. And about every year we went to Michoacan, and then he said that around 3 years later, around the 4th year, that he opened his heart, and he talked and said, I know you guys why he's coming to his place. Just think about 3-hour flight, and then driving 4-5 hours to there, right? And finally he knows our heart, he knew our heart, and then from that, about 4th year, and then they cooked for us. And we cooked for them, that's why we shared food together. Before that, it was hard, but we do cook by ourselves, and then nobody came and helped us, and then we do ministry and we cook by ourselves. But later on, they willing to cook for us, and then we, what we have, and then they provide food, and then we kind of donate some like that. We give our appreciation to them, right? And that was the kind of my missions, and really I focus on the relation, and another one is now focus on ourselves, what we get the benefit from our mission, not my primary concern. My primary concern is that how can help them. So always that it's kind of the local people, focused, oriented. How they think about, how can they learn? So always, my focus is a local people centered, not for us. And when you go to the mission trip, so I made every material in Spanish, even the worship and body worship, and pick the songs, and my kids made kind of body motion in the beginning. It it's hard to find. Nowadays, a lot of Mexico churches and the missionaries kind of promote a lot of body worship, and they made up and post up the on YouTube, and then it's easy nowadays. And maybe 6 years and around that time, and kind of popping up a lot of motions for Sunday school, and then my kids, and then kind of picked a song. I picked a song, and then with the themes, and then they find a song, and they learn the body worship and teach the kids like that. It's easier as times went by. Try to, so every material, so I designed and operable, I used operable material, like papers, and then they could easily get in their environment. And that was I did. And then another example is I don't want to play with the food. Food is really, especially kind of bread, that it's American bread, and then the Mexican bread is cheaper, but a lot of bread is kind of expensive, and so I don't know play with the food, and they said something, oh, don't do this one, and they don't have enough water, and then sometimes when you play and you use the flour and sugars, right? Powdered sugars, but missionary said don't do that, because it's fun, really fun for kids, but water is not enough, they cannot wash their face thoroughly. So we stopped with that kind of things and other stuff, right? They're poor, people are really poor, so eating is really great things for the families, so we don't play with the food like this. And then another thing is that another principle was that try to raise the local leaders, and then every summer when we go down and we invite the youth kids, and then high school, junior high school, and church people, and they invite us, and then we read together, learn together, and then every year they can take more and more. And so my goal was that the church can prepare the VBS and some of vacation Bible school, and then they can run by themselves. Some churches already ready, and they can help out other churches like that. So that's my goal. And then we did one by one, and in the beginning they don't have to do anything, and then we just showed how to do it. And second year we invite them, right? Give them orientation, and then learn the body worship together, and then we call them kind of while doing the worship and together like this. And third year, fourth year, they got little by little, and then once we gotta preach, and then even though we are not good at the Spanish, and then we did, and my kids present the gospel in Spanish, and then the local kids, so to my kids, and then they are not old enough, but they share the gospel in front of the people. It's not their own language, and that was kind of encouraging for the local students, and then they kind of step out, and then I trained them properly, and then they practice, and then I wrote all manuscript, and maybe something is weird they can correct. It's a sentence is not, sentences are awkward, and they correct, and then they present it. They are best. And they are best, and they did really well. And the last year, and then we don't prepare anything, and then I just send everything, and every time I contact them, and can you prepare this one and this one, this one. Last year, the last 7th year, they did it by themselves, everything. They did everything by themselves. It was kind of fun process, but it's a lot of strugglings there because of their socioeconomic status, and and even though I had kind of the philosophy, and then some people don't listen to me, even though I trained them, and then some participants, they kind of look down on local kids, and then every meeting I emphasize respect the kids, so respect the local kids, because they don't have a good education, and then they don't have enough, and that's why they are struggling in life, but still they are the people to be loved by us, right? Don't look down on them. But still something's happened. Yeah. That is my short mission, quick summary of my missions, and then I don't know, maybe when you go to missions, and depends on what you do, maybe some guys do the gardening and painting and building a house and cleanups, and maybe VBS and street evangelism and sharing the foods. I don't know, different kind of activities there, right? And what is the short missions? Just a mission, but short. You know the definition of mission, right? But short mission is that short period of time is like 1 day to 1 year, 6 months, 1 year, 6 months. Sometimes less than 2 years. And there is kind of, usually 1 day to 6 months, 1 year, and they committed their life to sharing the gospel with them. The short-term mission is very short. So we gotta, when you think about the short-term missions, and then so there's Peterson and his co-workers, and you gotta think of this one. And there is a timeline. How long are you gonna stay? So I already told you, and I really wanna focus on the local centered mission, local peoples, and then I wanna help with the missions. So usually when you go to 1 day trip to Tijuana, so when you do some event at churches, a lot of kids coming to church, right? But next day, Sunday, the kids going to what? Catholic cathedral or Catholic church. They don't come to church because the parents, they need permission of the parents to come to church. Sometimes parents doesn't allow the kids to go to church. And sometimes on Saturday, and they all go to church, and Sunday they take them to the Catholic church. And that's why it depends on their situation, the team's situation, but I always stayed 1 night, 2 days. And they know, and then a lot of mission teams, they go and Saturday and come back Sunday, and maybe Saturday 300 kids showed up, people showed up, and having a feast and party. Another it's not parties, can be and feast, and then next day it's a Sunday. Usually the Protestant church have a worship on Sunday, but not many kids showed up except the church kids. So 200 kids, 300 kids showed up Saturday because of the team, and Sunday is like 10, 20 kids. So I really want to help the local churches, and we stay 1 more day, and we do the same thing on Sunday. Kids sometimes came to the church more than Saturday. So usually every Saturday when we are there, it's around 60 to 100 kids came to Sunday school. So when you go to understand your short missions, always think about the timeline. How long you're gonna do and how much you're gonna do. It's decide on your time. So you cannot do many times, even it's a short time. And then just think about what can you do. Don't do big things, even though your time is small. What kind of activity, missions you're gonna get involved? Think about it. And I know there's some church mission teams, and once a month they came down to Mexico and help out the church, like us, and try to help with the children's ministry, and then they're really rushed. And they only spend 2 hours and then wrapping up and come back to United States. There is some situation is there that whether I can understand or not, but that's their situation. What about side? How many people are coming down? How many people are going? Right? And depends on the people, and then you can do what you really want to do. Once I met her, kind of, I don't know, looks like Caucasian girls, a lady, and then she has a lot of stuff. She drove the truck, and then we met at the kind of McDonald's, kind of stopped by, breakfast or the gas or restroom, and then she had a lot of stuff in the bag and cars, and then she covered, and then I asked her, where are you going? To Mexico, what are you doing? And she said, I'm going to church and help out the church. By herself. Maybe she can do Spanish, right? But speak Spanish, but my team usually don't speak Spanish, don't speak Spanish, and then the missionary kids and kind of translate on the spot. What about the location? It's going to Tijuana, it's going to Thailand, it's going to Nigeria, South Africa, and what area? It's a city or rural, depends on, right? What about the participant demographics? Who are going? So, like adult senior people? Sometimes I took the seniors to show them, I don't expect much, but they always pray for us, and they do something. And what about, so like my mission team is little children, there's no age limit, so sometimes 6 months and 1 year. One guy is kind of he was her mom's womb, and then he still went on, and he just born and 6 months, and he went down, and nowadays he's in junior high school, right? And think about the demographics. Sometimes when little kids are kind of interrupted the ministry, not really though. We need to take our children to serve together, play together with the local kids. They are the best. What is who is sending? Mission agency or the churches, or the like voluntary teams? And what about the mission philosophy? Many teams doesn't have a philosophy, but they are with the children's ministry, but it's not from the mission philosophy. They do just activities. They don't have a long-term plan. Just do month by month, or once a year. But if you want to really serious about the missions, and then even though short mission is should be a philosophy, like me, my team. What about the training? Who's going to be a leader? Usually church mission teams depends on church. Usually they prepare for the activities that they want to do. But if you are Christian club at campus and during the college year, and then they have 10-week trainings and very intensive training, right? They learn about missions, and they preparing what they want to do, like us. my mission training is 3 months to 4 months usually, and who's gonna lead? How participants can get involved in have the kind of leadership. So my mission team is kind of I'm the kind of coordinator, but still a lot of even though the children is like 5 years fifth grade, sixth grade, and high school, junior high school, they have kind of in charge something. Like, oh, you gotta learn these games, or you gotta learn this one, you gotta do this, and we give them responsibility and develop their leadership, and they can actively get involved in missions. That. And what about God commanded? Why you gotta do missions, right? Think about it. And what about the it's a like repetitive deployment of the Swift, and then that's why the short mission is kind of we can send them again and again and very quickly. You don't have to take a long preparation, right? What about the temporary and non-professional missionaries? For what? So you don't have to be a vocational missionary, right? Sometimes you don't have any skills. You can go and cook. Maybe you could just walking around with them for street evangelism. That's all. So considering with all these factors, and how can we define the short-term missions? Short-term mission is supposed to be not supposed, if you consider all these factors, and maybe you can have effective missions. And other than that, we don't know who is for. And if you are thinking about, if your church is going to be planning about missions, and just think about this whole things, why we are going to mission, based on our philosophy. It's for themselves, it's for ourselves. Clarify what is good for them, what is good for us, what is good for missionaries. Okay? That is a kind of a brief summaries of the articles that I attached, and then just short mission is started about 60s and 70s, and in the youth ministry of the OM, so Operation Mobilization, and youth. Youth with missions, why web. So started, and from that time is getting popular, and then nowadays, you know how many people are on the mission trips? Like around 90. I read an article, it's like 9 in the beginning of the end of the 80s, and then Korean churches has sent out about 50,000 short missions. So there is the research is it's already done a lot, and then the data is kind of old, but still we can see how popular, how it's going on. And then short-term mission is a phenomenon, has grown from the around 250 to 1 million per year since 1992. Wow. And just think about, in 1992 is around 250,000 people, but around 2000 is like about 10 years later, it's about 1 million people. But so estimation between 1 million to 4 million North American short missionaries every year may well be in conservative estimate. Around 1 million to 4 millions. If you think about how many people on the trip. My team is so once a month is every people going. So I don't know how many. Maybe usually we have 10 trips or 11 trips. We don't go to January. We don't go to sometimes during the summer. If they have a church event and BBS, they have their own things, so we don't go because they are too busy. We don't want to make the burden another burden to them. But look at this, and sociologist and Christian Smith, based on the national random survey data, and reported that 29% of all 13 to 17 years old in USA have gone a religious missions team or religious service project. Within 10% haven't gone on such a trip 3 or 4 times, right? How many percent? Almost 30%. And junior high school to high school. What about college students? What about adults? And his data indicate that far more than 2 million 13 to 14 years old go on such a trip every year. I don't know, your church have kind of mission trip. We have. We have Mexico trip was there, and we had kind of local area. It's like in the United States, and then they go to New Orleans, they go to other places during the summertime. They have mission trips. So you can see how popular a church is and how many people kind of make a trip to other countries, right? So look at this, and another data shows that he mentioned that estimate that the number of the annual short missioners to be well over the million per year. This is derived from the national survey taken, which is about 2.1% haven't gone on short mission trip during the past year, 2005, and 3.6 claimed to have gone on when they were teenagers. And so numbers indicate more than 1.5 million U.S. Christians annually go on a mission trip, short mission trip. It's a lot of people, more than 1.5 millions. That's a phenomenon. Last 2 years, and some people go on the mission trip and they infected by virus, but there's a lot of people don't go. So a lot of people didn't go out for missions. You can see the kind of data and how growing. This one is kind of the ages, and look at this, the age elder 63 plus and 44 to 63, and boomers, and then birthdays at 25 to 43, and Mosaic there's 18 to 24. So kind of they define the different names, and look at this, how many people, 28 to 24, right? And this one is before being short mission trip before is that they make a trip over and over, and then 10% in there, this middle is a gray area. Never been on service trip, but definitely plan to, next 2 years, about 30% have never been in service trip, but probably going next 2 years, right? That is a probably go, definitely go, and this is before. That's a trend. So how popular do young people groups? Why? Why they want to go to a mission trip? Because they have a passion for mission. I want to really serve the people, and I want to proclaim the gospel. That's why they are going to mission trip. Probably. But think about, compare with the long-term missions and the short-term missionaries. And as times go by, and what? From the beginning, what is about? Think about it. So the yellow is a short mission. So how, have grown fast. But what about the long-term missions? Kind of steady. What is the role of the short mission, considering long-term missions? Right? I don't know. What do you think? So what is the object of the short missions? What is the objectivities? Have you thought about it? Well, it depends on, and one of the objectives people said that, if you are a missionary candidate and before you go jump into the mission, and then pre-expose is really helpful for understanding their cultures and see the peoples, and when you go there, what you need and how you prepare. That's a really opportunity for missionary candidate. That's true. But how many missionary candidates on mission trips? Mostly people are very helpful with the missionary candidate, and some of them is think about it, and participant is a change and transform their life because of the mission trip. And because they see the world and they serve the others, and then kind of help them to change their lives. That's one of our missions. Okay, but think about mission itself. Can we say that this is one of our mission trip? Who's for them? Mission is for who? But this one is a kind of participant, right? Participant. I know, so I involved in student ministry, and then parents kind of sending their kids to the mission because kind of, the children is not good children, they will study hard, and they always goofing around with the kids, and sometimes kind of do bad things, and then, okay, it's just, you need some kind of, you need some opportunity to change yourself, right? And you need a kind of moment, so that's why they send in the kids like this. That's a kind of a motivation, and then objectivities, one of the objectivities. And what about people say that you can see kind of spiritually grow through the mission trip. you change and understand God's plan, and it help a lot growing Christian. It really benefit my spiritual growth. And that is one of your objectives. For whom, sir? For whom? For myself, right? Bill Kelly is a Guatemalan missionaries, and then he pointed kind of 10 objectivities, and here is. Let's go over this one. Mission trips provide hands-on direct contact with the cross-cultural missions. Hands-on mission, and then you could do right away. You could bring some stuff you can do. And then what is the direct contact with the cross-cultural missions? You don't know what kind of missions and how it's like, what missionaries are doing, right? So open. It's a really good opportunity. One of the objects. And then they can stimulate realistic vision for the global task. And sometimes we don't know the mission, what they're doing, how their life is like, but you can see how missionaries doing. My wife said that I met my wife in mission trip, and then I'm from Korea, she's from America, and then when she heard about the missionary life, she said that like misunderstandable. They are super spiritual like this, and they sacrifice everything, and I cannot do it. But when once she came over to Thailand and see the missionary life, and then they said, nothing different from my life. But the work is different. And the whole image is totally wrong. They need really poorly and like jungles, right? That's misunderstandings. So this to be realistic, and they can provide opportunity to see God's work and personal life and mission field, right? How they change their life and how God's work. And they can stimulate a significant intercession by driving home the fact that without prayer, neither is accomplished. But still, they had kind of opportunity see how they need your prayer, right? And their prayer and the visions. And then what about they can offer the reality therapy for those who see the mission with the fuzzy and rose tinted glasses, I already told you, right? And see the reality. Mission trips can convert the person into a lifelong intercessor, pray for the missionaries, and what? Sometimes mission mobilizer like me, when they come back. Some of them, they commit themselves to missions. What about they can include within those who go desire to serve more significantly in their home churches and prepare using newly acquired skills, generally with a more global perspective. Right? They wanna serve others. That was a kind of an opportunity. But short-term mission can witness the impact that they can through the examples, evangelism and discipleship, or the use or transfer their specific skills. They can understand, they can see them, right? And ministry. They can provide the foundation for their own potential long-term commitment. I already the career missionary service, and they can bring glory to living God through their demonstrated obedience to the sending Lord. They pray about it. Okay. I will go and what? They witness God's work, and they transform their life, and they support the missions, and they live life differently. Yeah, there's a lot of things provide, and that's a benefit from the you can get the short missions. I hope that how many other people who are more than 1.5 million in America, what about from Korea? What about from other countries? How many people make the trip? That one is kind of, yeah, think about the definition, the objectivities. Wow. Most of them is really for the participant. Most of them for the participant. Why they need short missions in the rest of the local perspective? They need short mission? Notice. Okay, just an example. We go down to Tijuana. They need a short missioners, like a short mission teams. Why? Why? Why they need it? There is some support, some financial support from churches, American churches. Just think about what is the object. Object means, objectivity is the purpose of the church mission is evangelism, but too short. Sometimes proclaiming the gospel doesn't work at the spot, right? Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes years and years to help them to be a Christian. It's not just one, go down and have one service and preach the gospel and raise hand, and then a lot of people raise a hand and they count. It's not. Just think about the gospel. Right? The mission is proclaim the gospel and help them to grow in God's word, and then go back, kind of reproduce the same thing to others. They can make the same things, right? And think about it, how much we spend for the short missions. It's a big issue too. And we estimate about 1.5 million, 1 to 4 million, too big gap in the, but 1.5 million people going to mission trip every year. So what about cost? I go down to Mexico, and then my team paid about for 1 day, 2-day trips, and we collect about $30. Sometimes it's short, it's $50 per person. Regardless, it's the kids and 1 year, and 6 years old and 20 years old and 60 years old, all same. That is basically eating and food and for ministry. But usually, when I go to Guadalajara, and then we spend around with our airplane, all things together, and then each person is around $1,000 to $1,000 to around 1,200. Sometimes we go to a vacation, and then that's our extra money. That's out of their pocket. They reserve everything by themselves. Usually when we would go to Guadalajara, and they need to buy the ticket by themselves. They need to reserve the hotel by themselves. Yeah, we tried this one. It's not an expensive one. But there is, we need to rent a car to drive to churches and other places, and then we need to eat. And we need we need to buy some material for the all things. There is a common expense we have to pay, right? Other than this, everything is by families, and then around the total is around usually around 1,000. That is a 7 days trip in Mexico. Yeah, 1,000 to 1,200. 1,200. But by the research and then average cost of a trip is about $1,500. And if you go to Africa for a month, it's like 3,000, 4,000 they have to raise. Depends on which country, right? And then if the average is like $1,500, and then every year if they go to 1 million people, and how much we spend? $1.5 billion for short missions. It's a lot. It's a lot. Right? So $1.5 billion with church spends. It's really effective. The mission is really effective. It's for whom? For me and for me. So a lot of criticism out there. So like traveling, vacations, without any purpose of the mission, original purpose of missions, and exploring other cultures, kind of vacation. There's issues, and then we go to the mission trip like this much money, and what is that? Short-term missionaries is growing, and a lot of people going out, and then what happened? On the other side, and then what's the long-term missionaries, the fund is getting depleted and depleted. Okay, I'm gonna go to mission, and usually I give out for missions around $1,000. Oh, I'm gonna go to mission trip, and then I have set aside, this is a mission too, so I'm gonna set aside some amount of money, and it's kind of separate. And okay, it's cutting the fund is cut for the long-term missions. That's one of the problem. One of the problem. And another thing is that we bring a lot of things, and sometimes I read an article, and then from the other countries, and it's from the native perspective, and then he said he watched the hosted, and he helped the commission teams, and they coming down and painting and gardening, and it's not really helpful for their church. They don't do anything. It's not evangelism. They can do everything by themselves if they have money, right? Painting is cheaper. They don't have to go down, spend about $100, $500 for plane, and they don't have to use it. Just $50 and $100 for painting the whole churches, and that's enough. But several kids coming, and 10 to people coming, and they do stuff. How much they spend for just painting, gardening, and they think that, oh yeah, we went down, we painting the house, we helped them, and we are so proud of ourselves. And then when they leave, some donations there, right? And then that's why they are hosting a certain mission team. And then eventually what? Creating the dependence. Okay, mission team is coming down, and after that, and they want some donation to the church. Well, church, yeah, right? We have extra one. It's really helpful, especially in the poor countries. Think about $100 is not nothing. And think about mission when they leave the mission, yeah, come back and they give a couple of $100 and $1,000. It's not nothing, it's a lot. Right? That's a big issues, And if you have more, yeah, like this, and then more short mission teams there in the nationals, the more dependence is generated. So a lot of people go to mission field. I don't know, the American church, I never been mission with American peoples, but and Korean, I usually take the Korean people, and then when they go and they see that they are already poor, and then they try to give them extra in secret. I say, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not helping them. They are expecting something from the missionary too, if you do, but still do. And they promise something important and they never kept. It hurt them, right? And then they kind of switching, and then they try to provide personally like this. No, that is not the right way. So that's the issue, right? And yeah, a lot of people exposed to mission, but I don't know how many people are participating in mission after the mission trip. How many give up, giving the missions? How many support the missions? How many go back and continuously involved in mission, even though it was short missions? Yeah, so we gotta remember the issues, right? We are depleting available money for the long-term missions, and then we create the dependency. That's a big issue, finance, in terms of finance. What about the criticism of the short-term missions, right? Even though you guys sacrifice your time, and sometimes it's really hard, that's not good hygiene, and then sometimes it's really dangerous. But even though you have other benefit there, right? It's really helpful for spiritual growth and understanding other cultures, and then blah blah blah. But there is a criticism. Bill Taylor already suggested about the benefit about 10 objectivities of the short-term missions. This one is good and this one is good, right? But there's a criticism though. And sometimes short-term mission overstating, mean that people say, oh, it's really important, you gotta do it. But how effective compared to the long-term missions, right? Just think about when you go down and then prepare whole food in like Tijuana and Ensenada, and a lot of team was done that, and then how helpful. Once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, and you bring a lot of food and give out to poor people. Can you resolve the poverty? No. Right? I know it's a really, you really got benefit from the short-term missions and understanding the missions and your spiritual kind of personal spiritual benefit, but really overestimating kind of a lot of people, think that short-term mission we gotta do, but if you emphasize the short-term missions and the other side, the long-term missions kind of separate, not all the time, but still. Or maybe you cannot do much about long-term mission, kind of compensate with the short-term missions. Yes, self-aggrandizement. Right? Kind of over-exaggerate. Just think about actual life change. People are saying, oh, sure, I learned a lot of stuff and then I'm changed a lot, but what about after a month? after months, of a mission trip, and what happened? Went back to the, Sometimes, they ignore the national ministry. National ministry, just think about it, they don't have enough, but the ministry is kind of, it's not diverse and really kind of boring, but that is the way that they are doing now. And then really, kind of judgmental, you gotta do this one, but it didn't work. And my pastor, I had a meeting with my pastor, and then he shared about his failure, and then he went to Sri Lanka, and then he had kind of training with the pastors how to evangelize and evangelism, and he he talked and then do this one, and then and next year he visited, and then he had a meeting again, and then he asked, how was it? And then nobody mentioned, because they have a cultural courtesy. They say yes, but a response was there, and then they say, okay, we will do it, but next year nobody responded when he there and they have a seminar, and then he figured out that your way, your kind of the method of evangelism doesn't apply to our culture, right? So if we don't understand their cultures and sometimes ignore the way, sometimes even though it's like a long time before, and it's a long time ago, already gone, but still they are doing there, and then but still their cultural process is the level, and then it works now. Maybe we can give them tip, but not like the ministry that we are doing now here. It's not comparable though. So a lot of people can make mistake. Why? Okay, we have a good program here, and maybe we can take the program to other country and try to do it. It didn't work. Culture is different. Context is different. People are different, right? Another thing is that too short. You cannot change the world one day, 1 week, and 1 month. You cannot change people's life. 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks. That's why don't state the short missions. And compare with your ministry and time and everything is too expensive, right? Too expensive. Sometimes the short mission is exhausted the full-timers. Right? So full-timers missionary there, vocation missionary there, and they have their own things. They have to host the mission trips because sending church can send missionaries and maybe your friends who the church will support them and send you mission teams, and then exhausting. Sometimes the mission teams, they don't follow the missionary guidance. They want to do their own things. So limited result is a short time, so you cannot do much stuff, right? It's very limited. You acknowledge that one and then do what you can do in the time. Don't do too much. That means you cannot change people in a day, in a week. Okay? So Paul's impression. What's Paul's impression? You two guys, and just think about if you go to mission trip and then see the people and hands on and praise, and then sometimes they never showed up to church. And let's go back to the story there. He doesn't understand why the church is hosting the mission trip, and he said that nobody's came to church because of the mission team. Mission team came over to church, and then a lot of people came to church, and then not connected. So look at the people who are at church. Nobody is linked to the mission team. That's why it gives a really false impression. A lot of people come together and they don't stay there, right? Maybe why the mission teams stay there and then they can show up. And what about the real life of missionaries? Sometimes you cannot see the real life, how struggle in ministry in their life there. Yeah, there is another lot of criticism out there, but still, that is related to the really the Beijing. This is really Beijing kind of criticism that he summarized. And if you see the other books, and then creating the dependency, we already told them, right? And the money is kind of depleting the available the fund for the long-term missions. Another criticism. There's a lot of criticism is out there, and so another is really effective. Here's some other people. Dr. Ralph Winters is the gravest danger. He said that the amateurization of missions. He noted that the popular interest in mission is at a ebb and tide, right? So we mission professionals are inclined to accept the interest, words and all. The short-term mission phenomena has had little careful scrutiny. Missions, he concludes, has become any Christian volunteer to be sent anywhere in the world at an expense to do anything for any time period. So popular interest in missions, short-term missions, any mission movement, it's coming up, but someday it's gone. Yeah. What about the Glenn Glenn Schwartz, he said that he gave a three kind of criticals. If you read a book, there is there, and then one is that anticipation doing good for someone else is sometimes overplayed. That's why you gotta read the book when help is hurt. Help is hurt. And without understanding them, without understanding their culture and context, maybe you hurt. What about the second one? The attitude that outsider can do the job better than simply Americans or Europeans. We are Americans. We are from the rich countries. We could be better. Not really. Sometimes maybe, I don't know, which one is good at a mission field. Resources is not available like here. And then towards the legal process is different from here. People are different from here. Right? That's a really adamant mind. It's really adamant. Third reason for the often negative response is that assume that when we as Westerners go somewhere such as a mission field, we must do something. The world knows, world has so many needs that we just must help by doing. So why is it that is called so white person's white person's burden? They call it white person's burden. You cannot change the world by that. Just think about how much we give out to the poor and how much they changed. System doesn't change. People are not changed. So that's the kind of attitude is the kind of way you gotta really think about when you go to mission trip. So also go to mission humble attitude to try and learn about their cultures, learn about people, and whenever you have a chance and try to share the gospel. That's the way. That's why when I was leading the mission teams, and then I don't do like a lot of stuff. Even though present the gospel, I don't ask them raise and who believes in Jesus Christ. I don't do that. I always say that the team, we are trying to bridging the community to church. That's why we are going. So we try to bring the church. They have never been in church. Some are already every year, but some of them never been in church. But we because of us, they come to church. We try to make a bridge, right? That's where we are going, and present the gospel and raising them in word of God is not our job. Maybe we can present the gospel. Sometimes they don't understand it, but maybe they raise them. But we are happy with that. We are happy to see that. We are expecting them, but that's the wrong, right? That's I always told them when I'm preparing the mission trips. And one of the activities that I do, and then think about how can we make a bridge between church and community. Sometimes they send the kids reading me, right? So I think it's a 30 years, so we do a little bit differently, and then just developing the relationship with the community, and then we after that think about it, and I had kind of a fiesta, and was a present day, past time and present. So we teach the kids and they learn and wow, and invite the parents. We learn and we did and this and that. Invite the parents and then we do. Kids coming out with the sing and they do body worships. And my kids are playing the violin and then we play some their musics and they sing. Not the gospel song, and trying to, sometimes we play the mariachi song, sometimes we play the kind of traditional song. So that's why we bought a lot of books to, I asked my kids, can you practice and can you play for them? Sometimes they, learning the classical music and play for them. And kind of we had a fast and we provided dinners and every time, not every time, so mostly after the feast and then one family connected to the church. One family, not many families. Yeah, some people came and then never come back, but some people connected to church. Just to be creative to help the local churches and help the missionary. That is the mission to missions. They cannot do because of the resources are limited. They don't have time and they don't know how to do it. And then you can understand, you can learn about the cultural situation and their ministry, and then how can we kind of help them in the way. The way shouldn't be apart from their ministry. Way apart from the ministry, right? Yeah, you can see other things, and there is a lot of how can we develop the positive side, and there is a suggestion is there, right? And let's go back. Let's go to how can we make a mission trip more effective? How can we do? How can we make a mission trip better? And so if we have kind of a better discipleship while we preparing missions, and while after the mission trip follow up, like a debriefing, while you learn how can we do later on, like this, and then the briefing, so it's better make kind of a mission trip effective. You gotta train them why we are going, what is the purpose of the trip, what you should do, what you should not to do, and how can we respect their cultures. Not once I take the team to the Thailand, and the high schoolers and junior high schoolers kind of a spike hair, is kind of a trendy at the time. And one day morning, one of the team members and nobody had kind of a hairstyle in school, and it's hard to see. And he kind of put the gel and make the hair spike. And I said, "Oh, you cannot do that. So it's hard to see the kind of person. I don't know how they're gonna see you and how we're gonna see the Christians, because we are Christians, right? I think you better kind of make a normal hair and and go to church, go to school." And I asked the church. At the time we were doing the English camp at school. School kind of opened the place, and whole school kids kind of assigned 1 hour. So whole kids kind of every hour turn to and 2 hour the program, the English program. We play games, other stuff in English, and then they expose it in English, right? And they do. This was really tiring. So whole day, just think about 8 to kind of 3 o'clock. So we run the program there, and then we told them, yeah, we have some extra English camp stuff at the church. If you are interested, then come. And we invite the student. Yeah, around 40, 50 students came to the church and make a connection. And the pastor take care of the kids, not our job, right? That's why. So it's really important to prepare before you go to mission, and you gotta we gotta train them basic why we are going to, what is the purpose, and how we do, why should not do, right? Why we should not do all kind of stuff, and then so when you and the briefing is the follow-up of mission to mission trip is same, and then what about recruiting? So it's not just a trip to the other countries. It's not a personal exploring. This is what mission that try to show the gospel in word and actions, deeds, right? So recruit the right person, and then we can be more effective in missions. Planning is kind of suggest 5 ways maybe you can do. Let's quick over. And his short mission are great. If volunteer, remember that the Korean missionary knows the field better than they ever will, right? Respect the field, missionary, and follow the guidance. And that is much better. Short-term missionary short-term missions are great if a participant remember that the primary responsibility is a servant to the missionary and national partners. Okay, we are the servant. It's not for us. We go and serve. And it's not easy, it's hard. Mosquitoes and humid, and sometimes eating is not good, and everything is happening. Short-term missions are great if you increase missions spirit in the church back home, right? So they are called people into Korean missions. Some team members or after mission trip, I want to be a missionary to serve others more. And what about if volunteer, remember the missionary volunteer, remember to give God all the glory and the missionary the credit for the planning, preparation, labor, all that, right? Success. That's give them credit, God and missionaries. That's great. It increases a lot. And they never view as a substitute for Korean mission. That is kind of just think about it, how make a mission trip is effective is the basic suggestions, and then what the reverse the criticism, and you can think more how can make a mission trip better. And then I already showed my the philosophy of missions, and then as a local people centered, helping develop the local leadership and relational, and then there's 3 things I shared, and then what about 2 more things? I always think about long-term commitment. How can we develop this step by step? That is it's not each trip, and if you go to here and there and there, and then it's every time and every 2 years change the place, and they're not gonna give you many impact on the church. But if you have a long-term goal and committed, and then you can develop the relationship, you can do something really helpful for the local churches. That's why long-term goal is. And then another one is a spiritual need rather than the felt need. A lot of people, they go to poor area, that's why they see that the very felt need. They really suffer from the poverty, and their hunger, and they don't have the right clothes and shoes. And think about, always see that when they're hungry, go hungry. That's a felt need. You cannot change the society. You cannot change the whole system, right? But they never see. A lot of people don't see the spiritual need. They need Jesus Christ. How can we get the balance and help them? Personally, you gotta see the spiritual need, and how can we help them to motivate and change their life, right? That's a really important thing. Yeah, that's my perspective, my interest, and then maybe you could read the articles, and then I skipped some of them and a lot, and then you could get more information, and then nowadays a lot of books are available, and how can you prepare, and then if you see a lot of manuals, it's a really thorough, maybe if you skim through it, you can get a lot of benefit for your trip, so your church's trip. So I hope that you can, even though you can, if you never gone to outside for mission trip, and if you are interested, and then just to pick up the book and then just to read how can you prepare personally as a team, and you can suggest it, right? And yeah, that's the really practical day, mission day. Even though you are not interested in long-term missions, and you don't have any call for long-term missions, and then still how can we get involved in missions, and what's going on in short-term mission history, and what's the problem, and how can we be better? That's the today's lecture. So I hope that you guys it's helpful for you and helpful for the whole this semester quarters, and in understanding missions. And I'm still organizing the summer missions and going down to Tijuana. So if you are interested, and just let me know, all right? And if you need ID and passport, and right. So I hope you guys have a really open your eyes to see, find what makes your life meaningful. One of the ways that can engage in missions. So think about it if you are interested, and let me know. Anyway, thank you for this class, to sharing about the learning about mission. I try to provide kind of give you